My World Series prediction was the Dodgers were going to win in 6. That prediction is now officially wrong.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, but the best way to get a hold of us is right here on the YouTube channel. And make sure to use that hashtag EverydaySully. It helps us find your comments. And we're going to read a bunch of them today. Don't you worry about that, in case any of you were worried about that. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. And let us go to the trivia question, which, by the way, nobody got. One person got half of it. Here is the trivia question. Who are the only two pitchers to throw a complete game World Series-clinching victory against the Los Angeles Dodgers? Mike O'Hare, an everyday Sully, guessed Vida Blue in the 1974 World Series and Ron Guidry in the 77 World Series. Here's the interesting thing about Vida Blue, who is a superstar pitcher who pitched in 3 straight World Series championships for the A's. He never got a win in the World Series. He pitched well. In fact, he got a save in the World Series, but he never was credited with a win in the World Series. So that's wrong. You said Ron Guidry in the 77 World Series. You got the right World Series. You didn't get the right pitcher. Big John 08865 was in Everyday Sully, said Dave McNally and Blue Moon Odom. You got half of it. Dave McNally threw a complete game victory against a complete game shutout against the LA Dodgers for the Baltimore Orioles in 1966 in what was a staggering upset, shocking upset, where the Dodgers bats went absolutely cold, didn't score a run the last 3 games, and McNally threw a complete game shutout. We'll go to the whole Dodgers bats going dead in a World Series very, very soon. You got Blue Moon Odom, who was a member of those A's teams, and that's a very good guess. Wrong, but a very good guess. I'll tell you, the answer is the aforementioned Dave McNally in the 1966 World Series, and then in the 77 World Series, it wasn't Ron Guidry, it wasn't Catfish Hunter, it wasn't Don Gullett, it wasn't Ed Figueroa. They had a wonderful pitching staff. It was Mike Torres, the journeyman who had a wonderful career, who was acquired by the Yankees from Oakland early in the 1977 season, threw 2 complete game victories in the World Series, then left via free agency and went to the Red Sox in time to serve up the Bucky Dent home run. So the answer is Dave McNally and Mike Torres. Okay, let's get to the World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays did everything that you could ask in the wake of losing the game in the 18th inning the other day. And this is why I said things like momentum and things swinging. Those are all, storylines that are written in retrospect. Everyone and their moose seemed to think that the end of the 18-inning loss to LA with the home run by Freddie Freeman, coming off of the complete game victory from Yamamoto, here we go. The Dodgers are going to go on. This is it. They're back. The Dodgers are back, and they're going to win the next 2 games, and they're going to win it in 5, and yada, yada, yada. Well, first of all, you got to give the Blue Jays credit for punching back in Game 4 and saying, nope, we're not doing it, because the storyline was right there. Ohtani getting on base 9 times, and the next day they're handing him the ball. Ohtani pitches a good game there. Then we're talking about him having the greatest World Series ever, and everyone's saying, hey, well, at least the Blue Jays won the pennant. But they punched back. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. said, hey, I would like to be considered to be the World Series MVP. Fine. So now we got the Game 5 was tonight. And Blake Snell, who has not been good, he has been great this postseason until game one of the World Series. His final run total in game one of the World Series was a little misleading. He did leave the bases loaded, but the bullpen imploded, absolutely imploded. All of his runners came in to score. They wound up scoring 9 runs and blah, blah, blah. Well, today, Snell obviously started the game as horribly as you possibly could. 3 pitches in, he had let up 2 home runs. But he settled down. He settled down, and it was a 3-1 game going into the 7th inning. And he pitched into the 7th inning, much to the astonishment of Kevin Cash. No, I'm not going to let that up. He pitched 6 2/3 innings. And they handed the ball to Edgardo and to Enriquez. And the bullpen once again demonstrated that how you beat the Dodgers is getting into the bullpen. With the exception of the marathon in the 18-inning marathon, the way you get to the Dodgers is get the starting pitcher out, and they'll pile up some runs. And the inherited runners scored, and Enriquez let two inherited runners score. Banda let 3 inherited runners score, and next thing you know, what was a airtight game turned into a 6-1 very comfortable victory for the Dodgers, for the Blue Jays. And of the big hero, offensive hero, David Schneider, no George Springer, no problem. He comes in and homers on the first pitch. And then Vlad Guerrero Jr., who, by the way, is batting .415 this postseason with an OPS of 1.337. He homered, and he got on base 3 times. But let's not forget who the hero of this game was. The hero of this game was Trey Yesavage. And Trey Yesavage came in and pitched the type of game that Sandy Koufax, sitting kind of near Magic Johnson. The other day, Sandy Koufax and Magic Johnson were sitting behind Meghan and Harry. I'm sorry, Meghan and Harry. I know you were royalty, or maybe you still are, but Magic and Sandy deserve better seats than you. But think about the game that he did. And everyone talked, he started the year in Dunedin, then Vancouver, then to New Hampshire, then to Buffalo. And then the Yankees were stunned, couldn't figure out what to do with him in the postseason. He was better than that game against the Yankees where he threw a no-hit ball into the 6th inning. Here he gave him length. 7 innings and 104 pitches. He struck out 12 batters. He walked none. And he let up a solo home run to Kiki Hernandez and 2 infield hits to Teoscar Hernandez. And that's it. That was it. You show me a pitcher ever that if they put together that line, you would say, oh, that's a darn good line. Madison, for recent, big studs in the postseason, like Madison Bumgarner, or like, Hershiser, or Dave Stewart, or Jack Morris would all be fine with a line like that. Hell, Koufax would be fine with a line like that. He probably would throw the last 2 innings, but it's fine. Dominguez and Hoffman got the last 6 outs. And here we go. Yesavage came out, and he was just brilliant today. And if the Blue Jays win the World Series on Halloween or November 1st, I don't know if this could be part of my mentality, but if I were Trey Yesavage, I would really consider retiring. Having that be, you know what? I shot up through the minor leagues, became a World Series hero. I'm done. I'm going to do something else now. I would be tempted to do that if I were him. Maybe that's why he's in the major leagues and I'm down here recording this podcast. But he outpitched Blake Snell. And Blake Snell pitched well. The bullpen let some of those runners come in to score, and his ERA and everything shot through the roof, and he got 2 losses in this World Series, which is going to look bad on the ledger. But the Blue Jays know they're facing Yamamoto game 6. And Yamamoto is thinking, hey, I'd like to be the World Series MVP. And if he comes out and throws another terrific game, hell, if he throws another complete game, which I don't think he will, but you never know. then he will be in the conversation of World Series MVP. The fact of the matter is the Blue Jays are here. They're going back to Canada, needing to split at home. So even if Yamamoto reaches back and pulls out his inner Hershiser, his inner Dave McNally or Mike Torres, then they still have one more game to win. And who would that be against? Would that be against Glasnow? Would be Shohei Ohtani on short rest? I don't know, and neither do you. But the fact of the matter is the Blue Jays are exactly where they need to be and doing exactly what they need to do. And for people like me who have been underestimating them this whole time, yowza, the Toronto Blue Jays are on the verge of winning the World Series. And when we come back, I'm going to answer some of the viewer comments that I got on the YouTube page. And one in particular, to me, illustrated something about that marathon game, the 18 inning game, that made me reevaluate a little bit of how we are, well, talking about it. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to fanduel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, who are the official sports betting partner of the NBA. It is interesting times to be an official betting partner of the NBA. So good for FanDuel for landing that. I'm going to read a bunch of the comments I've been getting on YouTube, but there is one in particular that I think is really interesting. This is from JCA2872. I was saying the other day that I have been absolutely clotheslining the Dodgers bullpen and said that they put on a masterclass in that 18 inning marathon. But JCA2872 makes an interesting point. I condensed your comment a little bit so I can fit it on the screen. Did the LA bullpen really put on a masterclass in Game 3, or did the fact that the Jays were missing 4 of their top hitters in their batting lineup at that point have more to do with it? That's a great point. That's a really great point and worth bringing up. Let's take a look at the fact that the game went on and on and on, and the I'm giving the pitchers credit. They were not allowing a run. But the Blue Jays did not have George Springer in the lineup because of the injury. They didn't have Bo Bichette in the lineup. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Bo Bichette started the game, and Kiner-Falefa came in as a pinch runner, went on to have 4 at-bats. Alejandro Kirk, who was having the game for the Blue Jays, he was 2 for 3. He got on base 4 times, but eventually had to be lifted for Tyner Heineman. And Addison Barger was also pinch run for. So they had, for a big chunk of the game, like Ty France got 3 at bats. David Schneider, who turned out to be a terrific hitter for today, but they combined for 6 at bats. Kiner-Falefa got 4 at bats. Heineman got 3 at bats. Miles Straw got 4 at bats. And then you had Clement did not have a very good game. And then you had Andres Jimenez, who actually got on base twice, but that's not the point. It's an interesting point that they didn't have Springer, Bichette, Kirk, or Barger for a giant chunk of that game. So yeah, that's an interesting point that maybe we can look at it through that lens, that they didn't have their best lineup on the field. And when you got past Dalton Varsho, and actually, if you get past Guerrero, then Varsho was really the only big threat after that. If you Kiner-Falefa, Heineman, Straw, and Clement obviously has had a fine postseason, so maybe that's a little unfair. But then you have Jimenez, and then he follows that up with Schneider, who again homered today. But you're right, it was not a superstar lineup, but LA did what they had to do. And so I thought that was an interesting point. By the way, This is another N. Lavadier. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correct. Who's an everyday Sully. Here's something that no one is saying after Monday's classic 18-inning game. They should have used a ghost runner so they could have finished the game earlier. That's right. Isn't it great to not have the Manfred man on there? Um, I I hate the Manfred man. The one I've been saying I'm fine with a tie after 12 because you can't have 18, 19 inning games during the regular season, and you're trying not to. I'm fine with a tie after 12. And the one compromise I would have with a Manfred man is use it after 12 innings. After 12, then bring in the Manfred man. But let's have some actual extra inning baseball. It was pretty darn thrilling. Um, but before anyone thinks that I am just a grumpy old man who's, I don't like the Manfred, I don't like anything new. My dear friend who's been an everyday Sully for a long time, Cubs fan with an 1908, says the two World Series 18 inning games. In 2018, it was 7 hours and 20 minutes. And then the other day, it was 6 hours and 40 minutes. That's 30 minutes trimmed from the running time of that game because of the pitch clock. I love 18 inning games and I love the pitch clock. And you know what? That's right. That's right. I'm not a grumpy old man who hates change. I hate the Manfred man. I love the pitch clock. I love instant replay. And I think I'm going to love the strike and ball challenge. I think we should just use the box that we see there. There's your strike zone. And it's the same for everybody. That's what they should use. But I'm for the challenging the strike zone. But yeah, there you go. We don't need the Manfred man. We don't. It stinks. And there you go. Let's by the way, I mispronounce Flu Hardy's name the other day in the when he came out and pitched. Mason Fluharty. I think I call him I think I said either Flaherty or Fluharty, but it's Fluharty. You know how I know it's Fluharty? Because Andrew Bachner, J6B, says it's Fluharty. That's the correct pronunciation. Thanks, I appreciate it. Then Stephen Colachero wrote, I think it's Fluharty. Yeah, I think that's true. And then Shireen Nelson 3479 says the pitcher's name is Fluharty. Thanks, Steve. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that correction. That's great. And then Miles Shells 359 says his name is pronounced Fluharty. Yep. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. And then Conehead Jill says it's pronounced Fluharty. I got it. I mispronounced it. And then Sam C8764 says, not to be that person, but it's Mark Burley. I guess I said Burley's name wrong. I don't think I said Mark Burley's name wrong. I'll tell you something. I can pronounce Mark Burley. Here's something I can't do. Spell it. I can't spell. I cannot spell Mark Burley's name unless I'm looking at the name. And I'm because it says, is it E? Okay. I'm going to try it right now. Mark Burley. Buerle. Did I do it? No, I put in an extra E. That Buehr. There should be another vowel. It's a look at why didn't when the Burley family went through Ellis Island? Why didn't the person writing the name down like that scene in Godfather 2 just write Burly? Because I mean, Mark Burley, wonderful pitcher, terrific pitcher, kind of like Mike Torres, had a great long career, World Series champion, and got a save in the World. So got a complete game in the playoffs and a save in the World Series. I cannot spell the man's name, and I think I misspelled it right here and right now. But do you know what? This is not a spelling show. This is a baseball show. And there's not going to be a game tomorrow, but I'm telling you something right here and now. I am thrilled that we're going to have baseball on Halloween, and it could very well be a clincher for the Blue Jays, or it could be a chance for a game 7. And before anyone says I'm anti-Blue Jay or anti this, says I want a game 7. So sue me. Let's hear from our good friends over at Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, the NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is a simple way to play. Just pick more or less and at least 2 player stats. If you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play Prize Picks anywhere that operates. That includes here in California and also in Texas and in Georgia. Now, you can use Prize Picks during both football Sundays and NBA tip-offs. You like picking your favorite players, and you can see how your predictions play out. And there's a new stacks feature. It's a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points and threes and assists in the same, all in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves with an injury, the injury reboot can save your lineup from a loss. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. Just a little bit more house cleaning here. Stephen Colortella asked about an old trivia question, which maybe I forgot to answer. Maybe you can't track it down. The question that I don't remember which day this question was asked, but it was which 3 people both played for a World Series winning Yankee team and managed a World Series winning Yankee team. And the answer to that question was the 3 people who both played on played in the World Series for a World Series champion Yankee team and later managed the Yankees to a World Series title. They are Ralph Houck, who was Yogi Berra's backup and got an occasional pinch hit appearance in a couple of World Series for the Yankees in the 50s, who later managed them to the 1961 and 62 World Series title. My grandfather hated Ralph Houck because he wanted Yogi Berra to be the manager. The second one was Billy Martin, who won several World Series for the Yankees, including getting the walk-off hit in the 1953 World Series for the Yankees and managed the 1977 Yankees to the title and decided to have Mike Torres go all 9 instead of relieve him and bring in Sparky Lyle. And then the last one is Joe Girardi, who played for a couple of World Series champion Yankee teams, including getting the big triple off of Greg Maddux in the 1996 World Series and caught the final out of the 1998 World Series, and then managed the 2009 World Series team, which to date is the Yankees' last championship. And I thought he got a really, really raw deal when he got fired or was not brought back by the Yankees. I thought he did a terrific job. There are 3 people who could realistically be the World Series MVP. Now, I'm always of the mindset that the team that wins the title should have the MVP on their team. There have been some instances like the year that the Pirates beat the Yankees in 1960. Bobby Richardson of the Yankees was the MVP. Fred Lynn was the MVP in the 1982 ALCS for the Angels, even though they lost to Milwaukee. Mike Scott was the MVP of the 1986 NLCS for the Astros, even though the Mets won. And the very next year, Jeffrey Leonard got the NLCS MVP for the Giants, even though the Cardinals won. On that last one, look at Jeffrey Leonard was amazing, but Danny Cox got 2 complete games, including the complete game shutout to clinch the pennant for the Cardinals. I would have given it to him. The one player who, for a losing playoff team, who didn't get the World Series MVP, who I think should have, was Barry Bonds in 2002. No offense to Troy Glaus, who had a wonderful season, wonderful series, but Bonds was just otherworldly in that series. He just didn't get it because the Giants didn't win. Okay, keep in mind that I think you're probably going to hand it to a player on the winning side. There are 3 players who realistically right now can win the World Series MVP. Now, Yamamoto is one of them. If Yamamoto comes out, first of all, if he throws another complete game victory, then he absolutely has to be in the conversation. But even if he throws a game worthy of Yesavage, pitches 7 solid innings to go along with his complete game victory in game 2, and the Dodgers go on to win it all, you'd have to give Yamamoto a lot of consideration to be the World Series MVP because of what those 2 wins would have meant. However, right now, obviously Shohei Ohtani, who won the NLCS MVP, as of this recording, this is what he is, has 3 home runs in this World Series, is batting .316. He was batting .500 a couple of days ago, but 316 is still really good. His slugging is still, his on base is still .500. His slugging is still .895, and his OPS is 1.395. And he pitched 6 strong innings, as a starter. That adds to it. I mean, he wound up getting the loss and having, more runs tacked onto him because those inherited runners scored. But, throwing 6 innings on the heels of an 18-inning marathon, that should get some consideration. Of course, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if the Blue Jays win it all, he has a higher batting average than Ohtani. He has the same he has the same on base percentage, 500, as Ohtani. And as of this recording, the Ohtani's slugging is 895, and Vladdy Jr.'s is 636. And that's still really good. They both have OPSs over 1,000. And Ohtani is out homered Guerrero. But if the Blue Jays go on to win it all, right now it looks like Guerrero would get the World Series MVP to go along with his ALCS MVP. So short of a masterpiece by Yamamoto, it's really coming down to which one of these potential MVPs of the regular season is going to get both the League Championship Series and World Series MVP and basically cement their legacy in October. Now, of course, Ohtani already has a ring, but he had a slightly disappointing World Series last year. This would be one that he put the team on his back, but same with Vladdy. I like it when superstars rise to the occasion, and these 2 absolutely have. Now will be trick or treat time. If Yamamoto can trick the Blue Jays and give LA a treat, then he could be in the MVP conversation. But it may really come down to a Shohei versus Vladdy showdown in Canada. And let me tell you something. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. Well, there's one more question I'm going to have from a viewer. Where is it here? Here it is. Expert Selection says, will there be a collab video with the Locked On Blue Jays kids? Why not? Well, that's a great idea. And tomorrow, that's exactly what we're going to do. So if you listen to the show tomorrow, we're going to have a crossover with Locked On Blue Jays and talk about the possibility of them being crowned World Series champions. And it is just around the corner. Thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen. For your second listen, well, why not listen to Locked On Blue Jays? But for your third listen, check out the all-night Locked On MLB game night. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It brings us to today's trivia question. What pitcher was credited with the victory for the first World Series game scheduled to start in November? Now, this isn't about when the clock struck midnight and Jeter became Mr. November. This is for a game that was scheduled to start in November. What pitcher was credited with the victory for the first World Series game scheduled to start in November? Put the answers in the YouTube comments and we'll read the person who got it right later. Talking about game 5. Sorry, game 5. That's how long game 3. Game 3 is still going on, but we're on to game 5. They kind of bled over. Talk about I'm not even going to edit that out. Talk about game 5 of the 2025 World Series and how the Toronto Blue Jays have taken control. But Yamamoto is waiting to see if he can put his thumbprint on a World Series title for the Dodgers. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.